2 nights ago, I was sitting up working at either computer or my little Android past 9 o'clock. Generally, I have been lying down and starting to sleep by then so that I can wake up and get up early, which is a smart thing to do for we homeless, because if we're asleep on the sidewalk past about 7 in the morning, then passers-by are likely to complain to the police for us littering up their sidewalks. But 2 nights ago, as I say, I was up later. I don't recall why. It may have been past 10. I don't recall. And this late 30-ish, short, round fellow came and stood a respectful distance in front of me, probably 4 or 5 feet. Turns out his name was Poncho. He was a bit under the influence, but largely present and focused at the same time. And by the end of our 5-7 minute dialogue, he had communicated some sort of tremendous respect, reverence, affection for the vigil. Turns out he works in a restaurant. In what capacity, I can't guess, but relatively menial, I'd be pretty sure. A restaurant up on Capitol Hill, and he said he's been passing me for a long time, but when he passes me, it's 11:30 at night, and he points and shows where I'm asleep on the pavement. But he said, tonight, you're awake, and we can talk. We did. And his major point was that he wanted to be able to bring me food from the restaurant, leftovers. I reached to a bag and I showed him the bologna and cheese poor bread sandwich. I'm not complaining, I said to him, and I'm not complaining to you. But I said, this is pretty much what we eat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Trying to indicate that an occasional meal, if he brought it, leftovers, would be great. I said, don't get yourself in trouble. Don't take anything that you regret taking, but any leftovers would be a great kindness and very healthful. He indicated an affinity with me. He said, I live on the streets too. I don't know whether that was a generality or whether he actually does, whether he was indicating he lives in sparse conditions. The latter would be my guess in any case. In the closing minute, he put his face probably an inch or so from mine. I think it was a combination of the alcohol and affection and intimacy and a curious way he has, but I experienced it as very positive. A nice, humble, simple, kind spirit. And I guessed he would carry through. He said, now I want to bring you food, and I indicated it's probably best if you don't wake me up. But if you put the food by my head, because then the rats won't get it, and I can see it when I wake up in the morning. He was a little uncomfortable with that. He wanted to put it by the signs, but several times I tried to indicate quite seriously that unless you put it right by my head here on the sidewalk, then the rats are going to get it. In the middle of the night, my hand dropped off of my body as I was semi-awake, I guess, maybe 3 in the morning. And I felt it fall on something odd. It was a half loaf of high-quality Italian bread. and it was on a plastic container with probably a third of a $20 portion of a pork chop, but a $20 pork chop. It was exquisite. On top of a dozen beautifully done asparagus spears, on top of beautifully done, what do you call those things? It's a little round, micro cabbage like Brussels sprouts. Beautifully done Brussels sprouts, which I don't usually like. And there were, I think, water chestnuts in there, beautifully seasoned. One of the nicest meals I've had in years. It was not by my head where I asked. Thank goodness I woke up and was able to put it in a bag by my head. Otherwise, a swarm of rats, I'm sure, would have devoured me along with the bread by morning. But what simple kindness. He didn't have to remember. I may never see him to thank him, but if this turns into a routine, I'm going to make it my business to have him wake me up so I can thank him and be sure he understands my appreciation. Thursday at 11:30, I think, is definitely Thursday. I believe it's 11:30 is my consult with the oncologist at Georgetown, where by all statistics and by all symptoms I see in my body, I'm losing weight. I will not be beating the odds, and therefore the death sentence that Howard University Hospital handed me 4 months ago with a criminally negligent prognosis treatment plan, excluding the importance of a liver section operation, will wind up claiming my life this year. But it'll be what it'll be. It has yet to sap a second of my attention in any sort of way that robs our children of my time. It has not made my heart rate, the thought of it, go up 1 beat or down 1 beat in all this time. It's not my business. If I'm given another 15 years, I'll use those 15 years for our children. If I'm given another 15 weeks, I'll use those 15 weeks. As I've said, I am very much drawn to the idea, if it's a death sentence, to head out walking with one or two signs that I asked for your comments on several days ago. The headline on the post says something like, help please, January or May 31st, something like that. For the last 2 hours, I've had up the first of 2 posters, which I figured out how to do at a much lower price than earlier ones, about $25. It's the one that says, "You are too stupid to stop global warming." It got more attention, serious pondering attention, that I watched from a distance in the first 20 minutes that any of my other signs have, and probably the first 20 days. My other hearts have been targeted at our heart. We don't care about our hearts. But a sign that says you're too stupid, we care about being stupid, particularly males, I think, because if you're stupid, you don't get laid. If you're stupid, you don't keep your job. If you're stupid in this society, you get ridiculed. A hard heart? Sorry, yawn, who cares? It's said in marketing that the only bad press is no press. The only bad sign is one that gets no attention. Yep, there's a fella looking at it, drives past, looked at the other side. That never happened with prior signs. You are too stupid to stop global warming. So I may head out within a week or so of receiving Thursday's death sentence, if that's what I'm given. If I'm not given that death sentence, and he holds with the treatment plan he said he could have given me 4 months ago, then it would be 2 months of chemo followed by a liver operation. I'm guessing a week or so, or 3 recuperation after that, and possibly another 4 months of chemo after that. But he's hoping. He said 4 months ago it would likely have been just 2 months chemo and followed by the operation. But if I don't get a reprieve, then I really like the idea of just heading out walking. I met a fellow about my age. He's got Alzheimer's and PTSD, and he had just walked 30 miles a day from Detroit. I see heading out with basically the push cart that someone high-tech will put their child in when they go running, putting my limited stuff in that, and then just start walking the coastline where Sandy decimated. And the next storm will decimate again, and the next storm will decimate worse after that, unless we stop being stupid and we stop global warming. But I'm also hugely drawn to taking what I'm learning to the next level in some form, book, posts, whatever. I've been doing a massive amount of reading. It has confirmed what I thought 12 years ago and have thought ever since, but at new levels and with new sources of information. That the true, by far and away the physiologically, psychologically, neurologically true wealth is wealth of the spirit, is joy, the joy that comes from loving. If I won the lottery, I would build a team to do experience sampling method studies, all demographics, all people all over the world, to correlate it against Kohlberg's 6-level hierarchy of morality, moral development, which is pretty much the gold standard in psychology. And I would expect to confirm, I'd be willing not to, but I'd expect to confirm that those higher on the higher you are on the moral hierarchy, where the highest level is your nervous system is essentially wired into the nervous system of everyone else. It's virtually pure empathy, a Gandhi, a King, a Jesus. That the best measures that we have, and they're quite good now, would indicate that people that live there are the highest level of gratification, that they are the wealthy ones, although we look at them askance. The other thing I'd want to look at if I won the lottery would be a correlation, all demographics, all populations, all sampled populations worldwide, of correlation with joy, well-being, positive experience as a function of relationship to the poverty level. And what I would expect to find is that the most gratified people are those that live just above the poverty level. That as one moves to overprivilege beyond the poverty level, that overall gratification goes down, and that as one moves below the poverty level, one's gratification goes down. We can't escape that we are wealth-seeking creatures. We seek optimal experience. It's wired in us. It can't be escaped. Not for any breath, not by any one of us. But we can be stupid or enlightened in that. And my reading of the last month, which is more than I've done in years because my work didn't allow it, has only fanned the flames that this is what it's all about. What the great religious leaders were about was trying to give us the ultimate experiential wealth in life. So I'm torn. I have some thought of being able to do both. With the kindness of my friend Kathy and my friend Beverly and some other friends, I could be in a financial position to get that push cart, high-tech, baby buggy, kid buggy, and much lighter weight solar equipment, one of which is by my side right now. There are now panels that, instead of charging a big AC 12-volt battery like I was doing, which in some applications is very appropriate. It delivers AC, so if you're going to run a small appliance, fine. But for a laptop, much power is lost on going from the DC of the solar panel and the 12-volt battery into an inverter that turns it into AC, and then back into DC for the laptop. About 40% of the power is lost. So I am hoping to find that, plus the 12-volt battery is 25, 30 pounds. The two solar panels, because I needed 60 watts, losing 40% of it to the inverter and the rectifier, were another 20 pounds. It was just unwieldy, but with this 5-pound folding solar panel, 40 watt, and a 2-watt battery that I may well buy depending upon what I learn on Thursday. What did I say? Maybe it's 5 pounds, but I think it's only 2 or 3. It would give me as much battery life, about 1 to 2 days worth, if it was stormy and cloudy, as the 25 to 30 pound 12-volt battery. Doesn't give me AC, but I don't need AC. Everything I do is DC, laptop and the Android. So that's kind of an update. The Saturday and Sunday morning coffee crew from the Episcopal Church over on the west side of town came through again. They never miss. Doesn't matter what the weather is, doesn't matter if Pennsylvania Avenue is shut down for a run, which it frequently is. They find a way. I found out this morning that Tina, who's probably my age, started this 32 years ago. It was not Tina that told me. She comes at least once a week, but there's a crew of 4 or 5 of them, and it was 2 other dear ladies, Rosie and Kat. Rosie drives a Mercedes. Kat is a very attractive, again, maybe my age, upper middle class lady, obviously by her appearance, but kind, nice, genuine people. They do this ministry because they like to, and it is just such a joy for me to witness the impact on me and on others. And we had a really long, nice chat. But it was they that mentioned, Rosie started this 32 years ago, and I know she hasn't missed a weekend in all that time. I'm spending much time in the Library of Congress this past week, because no matter how this goes, I either need material, and I scan books at the library, one of the great libraries of the world, and I can scan whatever I want, the whole book. Not supposed to, but I do. And then I can pretty quickly turn it into MP3 files, an audiobook with a high quality voice that I find extremely acceptable. So if I have 3, 4, 5 months or more of medical treatment that will give me another 10, 12, 15 years to serve our kids, I need to make that time productive when I'm not debilitated. In those days I'm not debilitated. Or if I'm going to be walking until the cancer takes me, the same thing. I don't think I completed the thought before. I envision if I do the walk, that I can rig and or buy a walking laptop table hanging off my body, just as sort of a flap going out from my midsection. I saw it on one on Amazon. And I think I can do both. I think I can work on the book, the publication, showing to a more authoritative level, using important books throughout history and including current studies, to show that the wealth is just above the poverty level, where we're devoting our lives to the well-being of others out of the highest level of morality, which is what the churches and religions should have been about. It's not some stupid, it is some stupid mysticism the way we practice it. It is just the most brilliant, attuned scientific psychology, the way the founders like Jesus intended to convey it. Well, I enjoyed sharing with you. I can't imagine anyone's listened this far, but you should have. It's an important journey. Oh, I don't know if you can read that, but that's part of my new uniform, as is this. And on the back of this is the graphic you may have seen. It's the red circle with a line through it and earth on fire inside the greenhouse, a graphic that I've used many times before, saying, would you die to stop global warming?